Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to the Glide tutorial. We're now on episode number 8 and today we just keep on polishing our save system and also the whole selection in the menu. So if we just have a look really quickly at what we currently have, we have the preloader scene, of course, taking 3 seconds, and then we have a feedback every time we click on the button. We can actually buy. We don't really know how much gold we have thus far, but we know that we have 0. But let's actually just make this a little bit more intuitive and also make it look a little bit better. So what we're going to be doing is head over to the menu scene, and we're going to start by creating something that we should have had last episode actually, and it's a gold text. So under my shop menu, I'll right click here, new UI, and then new, let's actually do a new panel. Let's actually have a panel for that. So new panel, I'll just make sure it is a children of the shop menu. So let me put it right at the beginning here, anchor it on the top left, and maybe give it a position of 50, and then also 50 in, well, minus 50 in height. So it actually starts here. And we might go for something that is 300 by, say, 75. Something like this is gonna look good. Alright, so if you don't know the actual artwork, let's actually swap that for a empty button. So one button, something like that. We can also crank up the opacity if you want to see it a little bit better. Maybe 200 is good. And here we go. So we have a nice panel at the top here. This is going to be the gold panel, and inside of it there is going to be two things. There's going to be an image, so that's going to be like a little token image, and then there's also going to be the text. So let's start with the image. I'm going to click on the image, make it a little bit smaller, so say 75 by 75. That's still a little bit too much. Let's do a width of 32 and a height of 64. Then change the sprite for token. We do have something that looks like a token. Here it is. I'll just move it a little bit offset right here. Scale it down. Now same thing for the text. Just make sure it looks good. I'm going to input an amount, so say it has 25 gold right now. We're going to be working with that. The font size is going to be something bigger, so let's do 40 is a little bit too big, is it? Of course, just play with the text until it looks somewhat decent. I actually do not dislike this, so I'll be going with that, and I'll also make sure my alignment is on the left side here, so it doesn't overlap the icon. So here we go. That's going to be where my gold is, and it looks something like that now. And when I say gold, I actually really mean token, but the whole code is going to say gold, but what we're going to be collecting in the game are actually tokens. So we have our gold panel right here, and something I want to do like really quickly is make sure I change those buttons here, because they're a little bit annoying. They don't look too good. So let's take the color by set and also the trail by set, change those for 1 underscore button. We're going to be doing the same exact thing as we did for the real buttons, so sprite swap, and let's change the highlighted sprite for 2 underscore button. Alright, so this is what we have right here. We have these new things on the screen, and we actually need to connect them right now. So what we're going to be doing is let's open up the menu scene really quickly and start inputting those. So at the top here, under my color by set and my trail by set, I'll be using a new text component. This one is going to be the gold text. There is also 2 new int that are going to be part of this scene, and they are going to be the private int active color index. So that's what I've mentioned in the last episode, and also private int active trail index. So we have the selected index, which is just when you put your cursor over a button when you click on it, but it's not the one that goes on the model yet. For it to go on the model, you're going to be clicking on the buy or on the set button. Once you actually set the color or set the trail, it goes inside of the active color index or active trail index. Just so we don't forget about these 3 new fields, we are going to go down right here and do a private void update gold text. So that's for our very first field, the gold field. And all we have to do right here is say gold text dot text is equal to save manager instance state gold toString. That's quite far, but that's actually where we have to go to get the amount of gold we currently have. We also have to open up the set trail and the set color function and actually apply the active index. So set the active index of color. So active color index is equal to index in this case Same exact thing here, so set the active index. We do active trail color, oh sorry, active trail index is equal to index. This way we don't forget about these, and we now have a reference to what is on the model right now. Alright, so at this point we have a lot more information that we keep track of, and we're going to be using those information to our advantage to give more feedback to the player. Let's start with the very first, the most obvious thing we need right now. Let's head over to the start function. At the beginning of the start, let's actually tell our gold text how much he should be displaying. So how much gold we currently have right now. All we have to do here is update gold text, the function we just created. For testing purpose, just for now, we are going to just give our user some gold at the beginning of the scene. So I'll just write something like this, temporary, and then we'll say save manager dot instance state gold is equal to 999, something like that. So that covers our gold problem, and now we can actually see it. So that's very good. The next thing I'd like to do is actually make sure we can tell which one of the color we have selected right now. So we need a visual feedback on those little squares we have. And the way we're going to go about this is by going inside of the shop. Actually, we're going to start with the shop. And for every single children transform we have, we are going to change the color of the image and also change the size of it. So let's actually go down here and say we are currently in the middle of our color panel right here. We're going to say set the color of the image based on if on or not. So if the color is on, it's going to be a clear color, and if it's not on, it's going to be a little bit faded, a little bit shadowy. So let's go ahead and declare a image component that we're going to be using for this very button right here. We do a t get component. We're trying to get the component of type image, and then once we have that component, we're going to say image.color is going to equal, and then let's do a ternary operator so we know if it's on or not. Instance is color on. That's going to return you a boolean right here. So with that boolean, if it's true, we're going to be using color.white, and if it's false, we're going to be using, say, a new color 0.7 and then 0.7, 0.7. So something like that. If it's not on, it's going to be a little bit more shadowy. Let's copy this line and actually put it in the trail as well. Same exact thing, but instead of having is color on, of course, we're going to be changing that for is trail on. Now we can head back in the game and actually have a look at this. It should look a lot better actually. And let's see what kind of result we currently have. So we get a no reference exception. That is probably because we have not set the gold text. Let's click on the menu scene. And as you can tell, the gold text has not been set. So let's go under canvas, shop, and then we have the gold panel. And then finally in the gold panel, there is the text. Let's drag and drop this text right about here and try again. So here we go. Let's move over here. We have 999 gold, which is exactly what we have. And none of these are actually unlocked right now. Let's buy some. And I'm just going to buy like a couple of those. Now what I'm going to do is head over to my save manager, make sure I do not delete my save. So we have the reset save right here that was temporary, of course. I'm going to remove it right now and have a look if it actually persists through, well, through the game basically. So I shut the game down and let's see if we still have that data available to us. And as you can tell, we have all of these that we can still use, and these two trails has also been unlocked. So that's fairly cool. As you can tell, we can know which one we have unlocked and which one we haven't. Alright, so we have that feedback now. Of course, it does not seem to work when we buy something. Like right now, I've brought these four over here, but they're still not set. So we have to be changing the color when we buy them. And then afterward, we have another problem. We still don't know which one we're selecting. If I just click here and then I forget about it, I do not know which of the color I've selected. So I need to have some kind of feedback that actually shows which one is currently selected. So let's go work on these two problems. We're gonna start with the buying problem. So whenever we buy, we should actually have the actual color being unlocked right away. So we're gonna go over to the on color buy set, and I'm in the wrong script. Let me go back in the menu scene. And on the on color buy set, we need to change it so whenever we do buy something, we also change the color of it. So let's go over to the success. So whenever we do buy something, we need to change the color of the button. So change the color of the button. And we're gonna say color panel, get child. We're gonna get the child that is at the index we brought. So selected color index, get component, image. So we're getting that image component, dot color, and we're gonna say is equal to color dot white, which is the color you have when you have unlocked the thing. And also when we buy something, we also need to update the text. I totally forgot about that, but let's update the gold text, of course. And I don't know if that comment was required, as the name of the function is quite obvious, but at least we have it in here now. Let's copy these two lines over. Same thing applies to the onTrail by set, of course. So change the color of the button on the trail panel, get child at the selected trail index, get component, color white. And of course, we update the gold text. So our first problem should be covered. Everything should be working right now with the very first problem we had. And let's also check if the gold text is being updated as well. We should have 999 gold right now because that's what we get in the start. If we buy this, as you can tell, the gold went down and also the color was unlocked. So it's actually working pretty good. Now let's go back to the other problem, that is that we don't actually see which one is being selected right now. So to actually enable this, I'll be playing with the size of the button. So let's go back in our code, and this modification happens in the selection of the button. So on the color select and also on the trail select, this is where we're going to be doing the manipulation of the scale. Let's start at the very beginning. If the button clicked is already selected, let's not do anything. So let's just exit. So if selected color index is equal to the one we get in parameters, so current index, then let's just do a return. We don't need to do anything else. It's already selected. Now, if it's not selected, we'll make the icon bigger. So make the icon slightly bigger by doing a color panel. So color panel, get child. We're getting the child at the index, current index, and not the selected color index. We need the current index in this case. Just make sure you actually put the right one. Then we do a get component, rect transform, which is what's going to be controlling the scale. Then of course, local scale. Let's set it to vector 3.1 times. This number seems to work well for me, so it's going to be just a little bit bigger. Once we make that a little bit bigger, we also got to make sure that the other one that we had before that goes back to a normal scale. So put the previous one on normal scale. We actually just take this exact same line, but we change the current index for selected color index, which was our previous one. And let's also make sure we do vector 1 at the end and not vector 1 and the actual scale we're trying to modify. So after that, we get the selected color index is equal to current index, so that's working well. And if we just keep going in that function really quickly, I'd like to make a modification right here. So whenever we own the color, I'd like to know whether it's the one we actually have selected or not. And if it is the one we currently have selected and the one that is currently active, you're going to be saying current instead of select. So is it already our current color? If it is, then let's go ahead and just say current instead of select. So if active color index is equal to the current index, in that case, we are going to say current, else we are going to say select, just like this. And here we go. So we just modified our onColor select. It is quite a big function now, but that's all we have to do when we click on a new button. Let's quickly reflect that back in the trail select. So let's copy over these two functions right here. Go over on the trail select, and just before we do the set selected trail, let's copy this. And also I forgot the check at the beginning right here. So let's also take that and put it here. So if the selected trail index is equal to the current one, we don't do anything. And then let's do the trail panel, get child at current index, local scale, that works. This one is selected trail index. And of course, we modify this part as well. So let's go ahead and just copy this code and change it here. I just realized that we never actually, we should be saying trail is on here instead of color. But yeah, active trail index is equal to current index, and then we change the text, so trail by set to current or select. And that should actually cover pretty much everything. That was a lot of code that we've put in this episode, but it should give us a nice amount of feedback on the actual button themselves. So let's have a look right now to see if everything works. Hopefully everything works on the first try. And here we go. So when we click, as you can tell, they get bigger. The only problem we have is at the beginning, we don't get any feedback. As you can tell, this one is not highlighted, but it's the one we have selected right now. And this one is now the current one. If I click away and then I go back, it says current. So that's exactly what we want right here. And if we go down there, try to buy something, it changed the color. It's also the same exact size. And it just seems so much better now. We get an actual feedback, so that's pretty cool. But at the very beginning, we need to have that feedback as well, which is not something we're getting right now. So we're gonna have to play around with the start function a bit. We're gonna go at the very end of the start. So here we want to be looking up our save state and actually look at which color and which trail our player likes the most and which one he actually sets. So the way we're gonna go about this is we're quickly gonna peek back in the save state and just include two more in here. It's going to be a public int. Let's call this active color. Put that on 0, and also public int active trail, and then 0. We don't need to do any more modification to that. It's going to be saved automatically. Back on the menu scene, at this point we're going to be setting the player preferences. So set player's preferences for both the color and the trail. All we're going to be doing right here is call our function we've made. So on color select, using the save manager dot instance state, and then the active color, just like this. We're going to be copying this over, and instead of doing a on color select, we're going to be doing a set color right afterward. Again, copy these two over. We now have to set the trail. So on trail select, change the active color for active trail, and set trail, change the active color for active trail again. So this way, the player now has the proper preferences, and then we can just go ahead and just make the button slightly bigger or smaller depending on which item we have selected. So let's go ahead and make the buttons bigger for the selected item. Like we did earlier, we do a color panel, we get the child, and this one is going to be the selected color index in that case, or should it be the active trail? Let's actually use the active trail like this, and then let's do a get component. We're getting the component type of rect transform, then local scale is equal to vector3.1 times our number we had, so 125 like this. I'm going to duplicate this line and do the exact same thing for the actual trail. So this is the trail panel, and we want to be using the active, the active trail. Okay, so I've been using the active trail. Let's use the active color up here. Just a little typo on my part, and everything else seems to be working. So let's go in the game, have a look at this. And is it going to be working on the first try? I hope so. And it is actually working on the very first try. Let's actually put our cursor on something else. So right about here. So I chose the last in both of these color and also trails. Let's see if they're being saved properly. And it is not right now. It went back to the index number 0. So what we're going to be doing is make sure we actually save. I think we're not saving properly. So let's head over to the set color and also the set trail. And let's call a nice little save manager instance save in here. And we'll say remember preferences. Same thing happens when you set the trail. So let's go down here, remember preferences. And let's try and play this again. Actually, forgot to change it first, but we're quickly going to play this and see. take this one and take this one here. Now exit the game and let's go back in there. And it's still not working, so let's find out why. And it turns out it's quite a stupid error. It's because we never actually set it inside of the save state. So right here I'll do save manager instance state, and then the active color is going to be equal to index. Same exact thing for the trail. The active trail is going to be equal to index as well. And let's give it another try. So I'm going to be choosing these guys here, quit the game, and then let's go back in. And they should be highlighted. And as you can tell, they now are. And that's all we needed to do to make this work. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this. We have a lot more feedback right now on this screen. As you can tell, I'm just going to buy everything. We get the feedback on the goal, we have the feedback on the buttons. We have pretty much feedback everywhere. So the next episode is going to be a big one. It's going to be about starting to create the level selection scene and also the game scene pretty much at the same exact time. So that's going to be a big deal. Make sure you actually click on the video on the screen right now to see that. Other than that, please like the video if you enjoy, if you learn something. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, play it during your Christmas party, and just tell everybody how awesome making game is. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.